EXP for the snowball effect on to that Beastmaster. I think that's the important thing. DJ does manage to catch Moon out here.
Very nice rotation out from DJ. Moon trying to still go for the water rune and does pick it up, but it's not going to matter. Hoodwink, one of those great position force to have for that roaming potential. And as you can see, DJ, just with one level in Acorn Shot and Bushwhack, is able to secure the kill.
Yeah, we just managed to get some punishment off onto Moon. This is going to help Armel bounce back a little bit in the lane. It's not the worst lane coming out from Armel. It's certainly not an overwhelming start. I think the one area where our Tinker will shine is, say, clearing out Ancients. We don't see any stacks build up because of the action in side lanes. So I think you've got to be able to give Armel a little bit more in that lane, and that rotation does enable that. Still, 2-1 start, 5 minutes in. Looking a little bit better for FNATIC, but otherwise still a very even game. Roger, though, has to be a bit careful there.
Being chased down again. And DJ just constantly setting up with that Bushwhack. You can't really underestimate how much damage that Bushwhack does do. Even if it's DPS damage now, it's still 300 and it does tend to hurt. At least at max level. The DJ has opted to try and max out the Acorn Shot first, which is also fair enough, because that bonus damage and the bounces also adds up to quite a bit, especially if you can get the group up. Still looks like Jabs is going to start rotating over to protect the large camp pool here for DJ, and well, he does successfully manage to get it off. Now, they are definitely doing a pretty darn great job of slowing down mid one on that Razor. I mean, in terms of CS, it's nothing to write home about for mid one. Only 18-7. You compare that to the 21-4 of Jabs, and more importantly, you compare that to the 37-3 of Raven across the map. That is pretty detrimental here to SMG.
And that's not what you want to see out from the Razor. His Falcon Blade's a long way away. His Courier is constantly being sniped out by DJ. FNATIC's just playing really well on the aggression here. Once they manage to get a grip on Roger, and mid one has to be cautious. The damage output of these two heroes are pretty high.
Acorn Shot and Bushwhack is there, but it's a little bit too late. Just waited it out a little bit too long to try and chase down the Razor, but they do at least force out another salve usage here from Roger. His top lane, Raven, he's been jumped. He'll throw the boat out, but Moon's made a very nice rotation himself. Still Nightmare going to buy a bit more time, but Raven is going to go down to the stroke of fate as now they can chase for more. Onto Armel, they go in a grading, swallow out Arfu, catching out both heroes. And that'll mean Januel to drop as Armel is going to keep trying to chase down Arfu, but he has to be a little bit wary. Because Moon is still around with the Soul Ring up and a bottle charge, so he can keep going. And Arfu's done a great job of just hiding within that fog and not allowing Armel to secure this kill. Big wins here for SMG in this offlane.
A really early rotation out from Moon, but it does pay off well. They're pinning down a Raven. They're starting to slow down some of that snowball effect. I think for FNATIC, like, they've got a lot of emphasis on their own movement out. They haven't managed to give Armel some stacks to play with, which is really Tinker's strength. You buy that smoke, you clear a triple stack Ancient, you suddenly hit this massive spike. All this aggression bot is going to cost them.
I mean, press the attack going to help a little bit, but that link is just such a long and lengthy link that he had. But mid one now, he's falling low himself as Jabs is going to turn back around to the Acorn Shot. It's going to land, giving the vision over for the Rocket, and Armel ends up making a very, very fruitful rotation here down at the bot lane. As FNATIC able to find 2 more targets for themselves, and I mean, you get the DJ kill in the end, but what the hell does that matter when you lost mid one and Roger?
Yeah, you're bleeding out way too much here on SMG. You are maybe just buying some space out for Moon, trying to get that Storm up and running. Issue is, again, it's down to Storm's item timings. He's still only going for power threats. They are going to make a move on Armel, though.
Yeah, that's the big target you want to get right now. On that Tinker, and with that Ink Swirl, you might have just enough, but Januel, Nightmare Dodge is going to be there. Armel, he's still alive, and now the laser comes out. Moon's been baited in. We talked about this, John. There's Arfu going as well, and Roger, all he can do is try to run. Luckily, he does have a haste rune, so he'll be fine. But we mentioned that, Jonathan, during the draft. That Tinker, it always looks so juicy when you're playing Storm, but sometimes you can get baited in.
Yeah, and we talked about SMG having this tendency to be over-aggressive, as we saw in their Boom game. And it looks like they're just kind of... They're seeing red right now, Mike. They see a Tinker, they want that kill. They don't have the levels to get all the control they need. Like, we're still ways off from 6 on Tide. They will jump again onto DJ.
They'll try, but the Bushwhack's going to slow him down. Still Moon, a little bit of hesitation, but realizes DJ is alone eventually and does secure the kill. Meanwhile, to the north, Januel also dying to Raging Potato, who does already have the Helm of the Dominator up, and does also commit that roar to secure the kill. You know what, John? Even if you did find that Tinker early on, SMG, understanding how strong their draft is right now, do move into that mid-tier 1 tower. And it does seem like FNATIC are unable to defend.
Yeah, great push coming out. One of the strengths of SMG's draft is that push potential with a Beastmaster. So they get to play around with these really aggressive wards they have on the mid lane. And if they want to keep applying that pressure, keep pinning FNATIC from trying to get farm on their Tinker, this is a good time for them to start punishing. They're just clearing out the top jungle. Raging has a lot of space for himself. Raven is having to share with Raging, so you're cutting off the Kunkka quite well. And the bot lane isn't cleared out for FNATIC to play in. They are gonna maybe look to force a fight here, though.
Raven very aggressively moving in, but SMG, they want to take the fight. I mean, Roger's got Ravage, so he just pops immediately in RML. He's been stunned up. Raven is still trying to get out, but there is no way. Soulbind there on Januel. They'll just keep following up as they just stuck around here on FNATIC, and they'll pay even higher prices as Roger does go down, but now Moon, realizing it is safe, does go into RML and gets another kill for himself as DJ can't really help out. All he can do is try to escape now, and he might just make it, but Moon wants to keep chasing the stun. It's not going to land, but they have another silence with the vision out from Raging Potatoes creep. But it won't be enough. DJ will be able to get out. But it's still a very heavy price that FNATIC pays for that aggression.
Yeah, they get punished for forcing that fight. You pointed it out, Mike. Raven wanted to run back in there. And maybe he expected only a simple support to kill off, and just the Beastmaster to kill off, but the backup was there. And for FNATIC, like, you give Jab some space, sure, he's saving up towards the Blink. He's not the hero that you really need to scale up here. It's really RML who has to be able to get what he wants. And for a Tinker, that does mean hitting level 2, level 3 rearm, so level 12, level 18. That's still a ways off for that spike, and RML has been doing a good job of showing up, but in those larger engagements, Mike, that rearm time is just so long that you can't really pump out enough damage to turn a fight on its head with your presence. So I think a little bit more patience from FNATIC in terms of playing up against that sort of dive or that sort of movement out from SMG is in order, because, again, their tier 1's lost. SMG's feeling confident in the top jungle. They're going to look to hunt down there every single time.
Well, credit where credit is due, John. Yesterday we were giving crap to Neff for his camera work. Today, you're doing a fantastic job, Neff. Well done. We'll do another performance review for you, sir, and give you an update on that performance. We just look at that, John, the sky view, as we like to call it. Very, very nice indeed. Looking to that Roshan pit, it seems, as Roshan doesn't look so intimidating until you get up close. And well, there you go. Hello, Roshan. Back into the game we go. Rogers fixed his mouse up. 9-8 right now. Very slight net worth lead here for SMG, but it's a very even game between the two. All things being said, I mean, Raven, he did die in a rather strange way last time around, but he is still top of the net worth board and still farming very nicely here in this bunker.
Yep. They're going to be able to find that bot here as well with no defense out from SMG. So they can open up the bot jungle for some farm, start to bleed some gold back towards the Kunkka. The side of SMG are trying to keep track of RML. That Tinker's fairly slippery now with the blink up, so it's going to be a bit harder to pin him down. But they are also setting up for their own push up top. So maybe a bit of a tower trade. SMG still has the advantage with that mid-tier 1 gone. I don't see FNATIC grouping up for that push on mid anytime soon. And that's where FNATIC's draft kind of falls flat. Their push potential isn't that high outside of shoving back the creep wave with a Tinker. So it takes them a lot longer to commit onto objectives, whereas SMG can clear the map out really fast. With the top tier 1 gone, top jungle is definitely not where FNATIC wants to play, and they're playing on the opposite side of the map quite well. I think for SMG now, Mike, they've got to be able to maybe look for more objectives. Like, this is a good point for them to be at, but as we build into the 20-minute mark, I think we've got to see some of that pressure on the tier 2s to really pin FNATIC down here.
Absolutely. And they are certainly giving a bit of time for FNATIC, and it's not something you imagine you'd want to do here as SMG. Being said, you do still have Storm Razor, and we have seen Razor in this current meta turn out to be a pretty strong late game carry with the right items. As well, FNATIC, all right, now staring down Moon. Januel, they're going to have his smoke broken a little bit too early, and they are not going to be able to get in range for that Fiend's Grip. Very unfortunate here for FNATIC, though they are still smoked and still chasing. DJ might be able to find a bushwhack to set up, or even a duel out from Jabs. Instead, though, they'll try him to Raging, as he does get caught out now. He has help around, but the damage output is way too high. Once you do have that initial duel going, Just the sharpshooter alone taking out so much HP, and well, Raging Potato, he'll drop.
It's not the biggest kill, but that's a dual win out for Jabs. Is going to help keep building up on that Legion Commander, who does have the Blink flying, true, if I do believe right, and that is the Blink. So easier initiation coming out here for Jabs. To follow, true, would say the Tinker jumping around can just kind of jump in, expect some help, and keep going. I think for SMG, again, they are slowing their pace down a bit here, Mike. They are starting to get some farm up. They want to build up in mid 1. They want that BKB up on the Razor. I think after that BKB, we do have to see that aggression come in. Like, the aggression we were seeing in the first 10 minutes has to continue for the next 10 as well. Because, again, you need to be able to clear out the tier 2. You need to be able to choke out the Tinker from finding his farm as much as possible. Because towards the late game, that Tinker is going to be really hard to deal with. Yeah, you have Roar. Yeah, you have Ravage. But you're playing against a Legion Commander. With the Ag Shard down the line, with press the attack, there's a lot of ways to save RML if he's not too far from his team.
Roshan gonna be sieged up here by SMG, and this is a bit of an unexpected play from SMG, so FNATIC have not read this to happen. It's still going, and nobody from FNATIC has reacted whatsoever, so I like this little play from SMG. Just some very awkward kind of timing for the Roshan, but they get away with it seems. And that's going to really allow Moon to play that risky style he does enjoy playing now with that double life. Immediate smoke up. We'll see where SMG does go and who they can find. They've got that nice vision with the Hawks out, so they'll scout out. Unfortunately for FNATIC though, it does seem like, or rather unfortunately for SMG, they're going to run into Januel. So it's not really the target you would have liked to get with this 4-man smoke, but it's something. And SMG, they'll be forced to take it.
It's not a big kill, but you find something, you force them away from the bot jungle. So FNATIC's forced to regroup up top, share that farm together, and just kind of, again, slow down the pace that Raven's trying to build up here. They are going to go for their own smoke on FNATIC though.
Be a big kill if Armel gets caught
Oh,
out.
God.
Roar is there, but he has that massive status resist to a massive Ravage. Roger, he got 4 heroes with that, and Armel is just going to drop with a double Vortex out. They're going to take another 2. Oh, just a perfect initiation from SMG. As Raging, I mean, he commits the Roar knowing that you had that massive status resist on the Tinker, but he didn't care. He just wanted to set up for Roger, and that was just perfect.
Yeah, they just got into the right position at the right time. Great Roar, great Ravage coming out from the side of SMG, and this is the aggression we needed to see from them. You know, they killed off Januel. They're like, yeah, all right, we'll keep going. They find a big one. They find the 2 big ones they needed, and now they can just push. They've still got a Beastmaster, and there's still a lot of push potential coming through. They might not be able to take high ground, but we did need to see some of these tier 2s falling right around this time. So it's good news for SMG to keep that pace up. They've got the full Kaya Sanj up on Moon, so that added stat resist on the Storm, that added magic damage is going to be a lot easier for them to start bursting down some of these cores. And for FNATIC, it's still a stall game, because we talked about that Tinker's timings, Mike. Armel is going to need level 18 for his strongest spikes, and he's still level 12. That's still a long way off in this game, and it's a lot of EXP he's got to have to soak for himself here.
Moon gonna find Januel again, feeling very confident with that Aegis up. Still, they are gonna Nightmare and try to buy some more time as Januel has bought a fair amount of time, but not quite enough to survive as Moon. He saw Armel and he saw Red. He really wants that Tinker, and he's gonna be able to get him. Understanding how powerful they are, SMG are going right into that tier 3 tower. And FNATIC, I'll be frank, John, I don't know if they can stop this right now as Moon. He's out of control. Onto the tier 3 they go again. They should be able to at least get this tier 3 tower, but oh, it looks like they lost the Helm of the Dominator creep. A bit unfortunate there for SMG. A lot of damage has been lost, and without a creep wave, they are going to have to leave. Still a very aggressive, but a very fruitful play here from SMG.
You know, just big jumps out from Moon, really enabling SMG to find those key pickoffs. I think Armel's got to be cautious in helping out something like the Bane. Like, he used his defense matrix on the Bane to try to stall out. He kind of needs to save it for himself, because he's just not safe. There's so much jump from SMG. Jabs is too far off, would press the attack, so he couldn't immediately dispel the stuns, and just made that Storm easy picking, that Tinker easy picking. So I think FNATIC's just got to be able to play together a lot more. Right now, they're kind of getting run down one by one, which they can't afford to, because they know SMG's going to play this aggressive all the time.
Genuel currently being chased down on that Bane. He's actually going to be able to get away with the Tranquils up, though. He has plenty of movement speed, so Raging's unable to catch him. They still want to try and move into that dire side triangle and get aggressive and make sure the farm is not available as Moon again. He's spotted out DJ. He'll zip right in, and FNATIC, they are just not in position to try and help out. Again, it all goes back to that Aegis timing on Moon. He just knows he has the second life, so there's really no risk to him playing these very aggressive plays.
Yeah, there's just nothing that can stop him. We don't have the BKBs up and running yet on FNATIC's end. Raven is trying to save up for one, only one part away. They're really gonna need someone with spell immunity up front to handle that storm. Until that point, you are just very susceptible to that jump. And SMG, they're just taking more objectives off the map. Gotta be cautious with that Tinker there.
Again, Moon, I mean, I think if he was a bit higher in mana, he probably would have made the jump in, seeing those rockets flying out. SMG, though, they've smoked up. They may want to try and make another big team fight happen before that Aegis does expire, and DJ may be the unfortunate victim, as they should spot him out now. But no, they don't see him yet, but there's your Hawk out. Now they've got the vision. DJ, he'll be zipped on. Moon has 5 more seconds. Enough time to secure one more kill. And now with the Aegis expiring, they get that reset on the Storm, so they might just keep going. Jewel is there from Jabs, but I don't think it's going to be great as the boat does fly in. No Ravage is there yet. They've silenced up Roger, so he could not help. A massive kill onto mid one as Roger is somehow still alive as the sharpshooter misses on Moon. He'll jump back in onto Raven, trying for that pos 1 trade, but Raven's still alive with the press the attack, and now the Fiends rip FNATIC. They'll lock down the Storm Spirit, and it looks like they've got him, but Moon, he's going to keep going.
Oh my God.
It's just not going to be enough. FNATIC managed to hold high ground, and well, that Jewel, John, I initially thought it wasn't great, but they had the silence on Roger, so he could not actually get the he couldn't get the Ravage off.
Man, just great coordination from FNATIC that time around. They're playing as a team. They're jumping in. They trust each other to have each other's back. I think for SMG, the counterfight wasn't as clean as they needed to be. They got one roar off immediately. They did not tie that in with the Soulbind, so they didn't get double roar control. I think if you had managed to pin 2 heroes from FNATIC there, would have given you enough leeway to maybe get a better Ravage in the counterfight, maybe buy enough time for Midwin to actually pop his BKB and stay alive. But they didn't manage to do that, and FNATIC are starting to show us that high ground hold. This is a Tinker lineup, Mike. This is a Kunkka. You have really good high ground here, piercing through right after your Aegis expires. It's a bit of a very big confidence move that is easily punishable by FNATIC's lineup here.
Was it a silence, by the way, on that Tide? I didn't quite catch it. I feel like it may have been a nightmare now, as I don't see any items that can actually silence.
I felt like it might have been a bushwhack as well on top. It was one of the solid pieces of control, and just with the duel on top, like it felt like SMG were forced to roar up the LC, which just wasn't the target. Raven ran up, got his spells off, and all the damage flying through Farm Mel. Mike, he's about to hit level 18. That rearm is going to be down to 1.25 seconds channeling time. That's when you start to regret playing this game, Mike.
I always regret it when there's a Tinker in the game, John, whether it's 18 or not, as mid one is going to get caught now. A great duel out from Jabs. You do end up winning it as well. Jabs, great initiation, and mid one, he's in that danger zone, in that top lane where you either get picked off or you don't. He's stuck around very confidently by himself, and FNATIC, they capitalize on it. Bot lane, though. Oh, they've caught Armel. They know Armel's alone thanks to that smoke rotation, so they will punish FNATIC for that kill onto their Razor. Roger, even feeling a bit tippy today, does give one over to Moon.
Yeah, great wards out. They had the Tinker wards. There was a sentry out from FNATIC, so that's why maybe you felt a little bit more safe on Armel is punished for it. And that does help turn things around for SMG. They are starting to invade that triangle as well. They're going to be able to take some farm away. Not many stacks built up. FNATIC hasn't had the time, but they're clumping up, jumping forward.
Yeah, Moon is not done yet. He's got the Orchid available now, so they'll make the jump in with the Inksword to follow up. Nightmare is not going to save this time, and Genuel sticking around may have to pay with his own life as he does go down. Moon on another double kill here on this Storm Spirit. And they're into that mid-tier 3 tower. They're more than happy to keep this push going. It's just a matter of how FNATIC want to try and defend this. Keep in mind, Roger does have that Ravage up. As Moon does dodge the X back into the boat. But after that tier 3, that'll be it for SMG. They've got a Roshan to play for anyway. So I think you just go back for the Roshan pit and eventually come back to that high ground. And, well, FNATIC, we've seen them struggling, John. I'm not sure if they can take a 5v5 fight with all these ultis up on SMG at the moment.
No, they can't really force too much outside. I think they can go for the pick-off play on FNATIC, but they just need to kind of play high ground. There's no reason to be hasty here for the side of FNATIC. They've got a Tinker. They could make this game last 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 120 minutes if they need to with this hero, as long as they play their cards right. And if they get that done, it'll force SMG to a bit of a stall game. Like, yeah, SMG's strong right now. How strong are you going to be at 60 minutes? So up against a Kunkka that can itemize for right-click down the line along with the utility of the Ags, the Ag shard, up against a Tinker. They just don't need to force the issue. It's really SMG that needs to force this somehow. They need to pierce high ground. They've already taken the tier 3 mid. They just need to get some of those super creeps up on lanes, get the mega creeps up down the line, and just catch out Armel when he is trying to make these plays.
Roshan is spotted. Arfu will give the information over to SMG. FNATIC, they've got to be aware that Roshan is potentially up. And they've got to contest. They don't really have an option in this. Roshan getting started now. FNATIC moving their way over as Raven will scout out with the torrent, but Moon immediately wants to go for the pickoff. Is not going to be able to get him yet. Take the outpost back, but no. Zip in is there. Moon, who would he aiming? It's going to go after Januel on that Bane, but the Bushwhack is there to try and save. He'll get out of there eventually as now the Ravage comes through. It only connects onto Raven, but that's a massive pickoff for SMG. So they'll force the buyback out from Januel, but I think Raven may have to commit his own now if they wish to fight the Roshan.
Yeah, there's no way they can hold that Rosh without the Kunkka, without the boat and the torrent. And I think it's going to be too late. That Rosh is just going to melt pretty fast here from the side of SMG. So FNATIC forcing the issue a bit too much. Does get punished for it. No Ravage and Roger means maybe you have a little bit more opening in the high ground defense. But you've got to deal with 2 lives once more on Moon. Now you've got a nice free Ag shard as well coming out from mid one. And the refresh is up for our Razor as well. So you've got the double static link on the high ground. No Eye of the Storm yet. Not too long for cooldown. They find more here on SMG.
Yeah, I mean, Moon's just feeling himself right now. He knows he could basically kill any support on the map at the moment, so he'll just keep going for more kills. 11, 3, and 7 is the score for Moon here on this Storm Spirit, and I've got to say, John, after that initial death in the mid lane on that Tinker, he's been doing a fantastic job though. Speaking of that mid lane, Ragey Potato is going to be caught out. The Beastmaster, and will go down. Nice duel there from Jabs. So SMG grouping up again, wanting to try and force the fight, even without that Ravage up. Roger, he'll move in with the Inkswan, do it the old-fashioned way, but a nice Nightmare dodge will allow Raven to get the BKB off and go back to the X-Torrent onto Roger. But Moon, he is not afraid. Even without any mana, he still goes in onto Januel and will find another kill for the side of SMG.
Yeah, FNATIC don't even find that kill in Rogers, just staying barely alive. Didn't have enough damage output there from Armel. So SMG are starting to find some nice pickoffs. Not the biggest kills though. These are 2 supports. They lost their offlaner in that trade a while ago with Jabs. But you are still in a really good position here for SMG. Again, you just need to be able to get one of these fights done and then go high ground. For FNATIC, it's now time to, run and gun. Just bail out from the fights, try to split push, try to get what you can from the map, and stall out the high ground as much as possible. And keep getting that build-up you need on the Tinker. Like the overwhelming blink for Armel, it's going to be coming out soon. That's when things get really fun for the Tinker. Down the line, we might even see, say, the Ags. You've got the Ag shard as well with a March of Machines for the high ground hold, although that doesn't tend to be a priority, but still a possibility for Armel. Look at SMG's positioning. Like, they're trying to keep in the mid wave shoved in, their bot shoved out, their top is shoved out, so they need to be able to react to it, and that is holding them back from fully committing for the high ground they need to get done while this Aegis is up.
Certainly is. Roger, he was having a look around, see if he could find that Tinker, but he didn't want to really throw a blind Ravage out if he could avoid it. Still a 4-man smoke now from the side of FNATIC, as they are going to try and rotate around their own triangle. SMG grouped up as 4. Roger is going to join very soon. FNATIC, though, still from the backside, trying to find a nice way in. They might find Raging first, and that's a great target to get as the Jewel is going to be there into the Sharpshooter. They should be able to blow him up at mid 1. He takes the Sharpshooter. It won't matter, though. They get the Beastmaster, but now the Ravage comes in. Roger again helping out his team, and Raven, all he can do is BKB and TP away. It's a 2-for-1 trade thus far. It might even be a third now as DJ has been chased down by Moon. And he'll try to get away through the tree line, but it is not going to work out. Another 3-for-1. And they're onto that mid-racks now. Mid 1, wasting no time on that Razor, but Armel, he's going to join his team now and try to at least pick off this Razor. Even having DJ buy back on the Hoodwink. And that may force SMG to just pick another day to come back.
Yeah, it's the Tinker hold with a Kunkka. There is some counterfight available for FNATIC, and they know Ravage is down. So there's a window for FNATIC to actually force these bigger fights. SMG don't want to overextend. Looks like they've kind of learned their lesson and going a bit too far last time. So they'll hold back. That does give Armel the opportunity to again keep that split push going up top. Afu does come in to check out, but Tinker's already well and gone, so you give a little bit of that time out to FNATIC. They will rework the lanes once more. They'll force SMG to run around, kind of waste some time. And that's just the strength of Tinker, but whoa.
Moon, he's out of mana. He seems to know Armel's still around, but he can't really go on to this kill. So Armel able to survive another day, but still a very, very tough time for this Tinker. He's definitely not at that stage yet where he's become a real nuisance, even with that level 18 mark. I suppose once the overwhelming blink is up, though, that's when things can get really annoying to play against. But gotta wait a little bit longer for Armel to get that. It's a very expensive item. See if that does make the difference, though. I mean, he's got to be able to survive the team fights to make that work. But with the BKB up, I'm sure he'll be able to survive and do what he needs to do in these team fights very soon. Still bot lane. Raven gonna get jumped though. Moon wanted to go after DJ, but instead has to go after the Kunkka. Still, it's a better kill. In fact, never mind. Raging will take care of the Kunkka as they go in onto the Bane instead. So Januel is gonna drop. But problem is, Raven does get away. They got a little bit greedy trying to go for a 2-for-0.
Yeah, just maybe spreading out a little bit too much. It's good news for FNATIC. They bail out. They can keep holding their high ground. They can keep repairing the lanes as much as possible. Looks like SMG is going to be focusing down on bot. Oh.
Yeah, great aggressive ward out here on that high ground in that dire jungle, giving the information for Moon to zip in again. And now he's got a double damage rune. So things only get worse for FNATIC as once he pops that on the high ground of that dire base, how do you even fight as FNATIC anymore?
You don't have to worry about the second life on Moon, at the least, where the age is gone. So you just play with Tinker. You know, keep playing around with the rockets, with the lasers coming through. Keep shoving out what lanes you can to eventually force a response and try to break SMG's 5-man. They lose their bots here too, though. This is going to open up another angle for SMG, and this should allow them to slowly make their way towards high ground. Raven doing a good job clearing out creeps, though, but they've got angles here on SMG if they want to take it. Looks like they will keep playing it safe. They don't want to keep overextending. You have a lot of protection on hand now, though. Again, the refresh has been up on mid 1 for a while. He's got Lincoln's up, so mid 1's not going to be the easiest dual target any longer for jabs, and I think a lot is riding on that LC to find the right spot. Look at SMG. They're just grouping up bot, waiting for the eventual TP blink from Armel to punish that Tinker.
You got to credit Armel there. I think he may have actually baited those rotations. So he cancelled as soon as there was a 0.2 seconds left on that TP. So he does get a successful 3-man rotation from SMG towards that top lane. That way he can just focus on the bot lane instead here, Armel. Just keep avoiding SMG as much as you possibly can. And like you said, just buy more time by just split pushing these lanes. Thing is, though, eventually I think SMG is just going to focus on trying to get that next Roshan attempt. And they've had every Roshan thus far. I think FNATIC really can't afford to give away the third Roshan. And SMG already trying to just control the area around that Roshan pit is now Moon. He is Invis with a double damage, having a look for a target, but FNATIC, they seem to realize this and do back their way up to that base.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
SMG, they want to fight. They want to force it. They have no vision in that dire base, so it's a bit awkward, but now with the creep wave, you might see a jump in from Moon, and he does go, forcing out the BKB, and that's going to be enough.
Yep. Just poking and prodding, but you can see how hard it is to pierce through that high ground. Just having Raven to clear out the waves, having Armel push out other waves as well, is holding back SMG. The safe play for them is to just wait for that next Roche, but we've seen FNATIC, they've been able to hold even with that secondary life on Moon, and I think as this game goes on, it doesn't get any simpler. They are trying to punish out Armel, they do manage to get a good TP out from Moon, but it's not in time, as our Tinker does manage to get away in the nick of time as well. And with the overwhelming blink up, I mean, it just makes it so much easier for Armel to just clear out all these waves, no problem. Like, just makes short work of the creep waves, and this is just forcing SMG to run around. Like, you mentioned Tinker counters being there with the Beastmaster. They have the Beastmaster for the vision, they've got the Storm for the jump. I just feel like you can't be all across the map to really catch out where Armel is. He might get caught out now going top though, but it's only Afu.
Afu, he found him. Problem is, Tinker's just Tinker, John. You know, generally speaking, when you take damage, you shouldn't be able to blink, but I suppose Tinker's an exception.
Yeah, you gotta love Defense Matrix. It allows you to do some of this silly stuff. Moon does find an Arcane Rune up, so you might look to play aggressive. They are in a good spot. FNATIC is smoked up, though, and looks like they're going to be smoked up behind where Armel would want to TP, so they might be wanting to use that Tinker as bait later on.
Raging Potato would be a very nice score to start with, Jabs. They're finally going to go for an aggressive move on FNATIC, and they do get something. Still, Soulbite is there to lock them down. They want to force a fight again. SMG not scared at all. Now the Ravage come through. Roger, he found two targets, a mid one. He is just melting them completely. Raven is forced to BKB TP again, but the rest of his team, in fact, they get away. The TPs are enough. It's going to be a 1-for-1 on the off lanes of either side. And FNATIC, they do get a little bit lucky here, John. Roshan is not up for another minute.
And that's just a really good fight for FNATIC. They bait out Ravage on that pause 5 type. They bait out the refresh use on mid one. So there's a window here where they could actually look to re-engage and not be punished as hard. Raven going on front line here.
Try and find Afu, and actually does connect the torrent. They'll try and make it in time for the X back again, but it's not going to be there. So you do force a couple back, and again, it's all about this third Roshan here for either side. Last time around, during that second Roche, we made the comment that we didn't really think that FNATIC could really afford to fight. This time around, even if they are 14k net worth behind, it does feel like as long as the Ravage is not up, they certainly have a much better chance. Mind you, mid one does now have an Aghanim Scepter with the Refresher Orb, but the Refresher Orb's on cooldown right now, so it doesn't count as much as Raven. Gonna break the linkers of mid one, but that may cost him as they roar him up through the BKB. Still, the duel is there from the LC, but the static link is still going. They're just trying to deal with mid one, and they've got the Razor. Perhaps they do. Moon now, do you want to keep fighting? I don't think they do. SMG forced to back off, and very bad news here for SMG as mid one does not have buyback. Roshan is up, and would you believe it, John? There's a double damage rune there for Raven.
Are you serious? DD up after that fight. You mentioned that Ag Scepter, he bought it out. He doesn't have buyback. So, just poor timing for SMG. FNATIC's going to be able to go in. They've got the protection of a Tinker that can just keep spamming his spells to allow this to happen. I think for SMG, I mean, you mentioned his 12k lead, Mike. If you look at the net worth, Armel and Raven aren't too far behind mid one. The big gap is from Jabs being behind Afu and Raging. So 12k, 14k net worth lead really only on your Beastmaster and on your Grimstroke. Like, your actual cores don't have that big of a lead. They are in position to contest, but it's going really fast.
They've got that dive bomb, but they're going to jump in again. Jewel is there onto Raging Potato. Still Moon trying to fight back with the Vortex out, but he's got nobody so far. Inkswell does kill off DJ. Moon, though, is dropping low on mana, but the Roshan is down. They've got the Aegis Moon. He takes it all away as Roger times the Ravage absolutely perfectly. FNATIC, they have lost the Roshan. They might find the Aegis, but can they really get him a second time? Raven's going to try and time the torrent, but it's not good enough. Moon jukes it out and even plays around with them. Can he get away though? He's running low on mana, but he might be just fine with the TP and the zip away. He is going to make it out as now mid one. He'll go back in onto Jabs, does get the Legion Commander, and now wants Januel on the Bane. They'll get another target, it seems, as Januel tries to buy a little bit of time. That was just a perfect Ravage from Roger, though, to allow Moon to take that Roshan. What did he get everything, Jonathan?
Yes. He's got the Ags. He's got the Ags blessing. So the AoE Vortex, the mini black holes there, this makes it so hard now for FNATIC. Oh god.
Yeah, you've got that AoE Vortex, so it's much easier to connect onto Armel, but he's still very, very safe with that defense matrix. In fact, now Moon has gone too far. Moon, you just made a great play. He does survive, though. Arfu is going to be there to make sure he does remain protected. In fact, Arfu's still just trying to bait them to come back in. They are not going to follow that bait, though. SMG, again, 16k ahead in terms of net worth. Still ahead of this game, but FNATIC, they are not quitting.
No, it's still a close game. Again, I feel like that 16k net worth lead isn't as big as you'd expect because it's mainly from Jabs being poor rather than the enemy heroes being rich. Like, they are ahead with mid 1 and Moon, but it's not like a major item advantage at the moment, which is also not the best news for a Tinker, as you do want that item advantage up, and you are going to have ways to counteract the Tinker soon. Like, we're seeing the BKB being built up by Moon here. Once that's up and running, pinning down the Storm is going to be a harder prospect. You're going to need a grip or the duel to go through that, and so far, FNATIC have been much more happier to duel up Raging instead and dueling up mid 1. And the Storm is hard to patch out. Onto the high ground, though.
Yeah, they got the duel off mid one. He does have the BKB in time. However, with the double roar around, they should have Jabs. He's dropping low and does eventually go down. And now the refresh mid one. It's so much damage from this Razor. You can't stand next to him. Look at Raven just melt. He does get away with the invis though. As DJ now, they try to turn it with the bushwhack, but it's not enough yet. SMG is still going. They finally get mid one down. They've lost so much, and now the AoE Vortex Moon keeps going into the Ravage. Roger is there in time again. They'll find another kill onto Jabs, and that was a dieback. Oh, SMG just so aggressive, but they kind of forgot about Armel, who's going to jump back in, but has no way to cancel the TP of Raging. So they find Arfu, but that'll be about it. They got the mid-racks for the side of SMG. You've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, they get a lot done. They save Moon as well on that fight. It looked like he was dropping low. He did have cheese. He does stay alive. Oh, Moon.
Moon, he's very low on mana now. Armel keeping the chase up, but Moon's out of there. He had an arcane rune, of course he did. I was wondering why he could zip so far away, but well, there's your answer, John.
Yep, gets out of dodge, and FNATIC now are in a pretty awkward position. Losing mid-racks is going to be tough. They still have great wave clear coming out from Raven and, of course, from Armel. But that does give SMG a very good map advantage now in terms of keeping that one lane constantly shoved in. And again, we're going to be seeing that BKB coming out for Moon sooner rather than later. So holding down that Storm is going to be a very tough job. I think for the side of FNATIC now, you kind of need a little bit more onto Raven Moon.
Big zip. He still had that arcane rune and he found 2 targets. You know Raven's there, but Raven cannot really hold him down. Lincoln's broken, but that's about it. It's the confidence here from our Storm. Moon putting on a real show today. 23-11 thus far in terms of score here for our Storm. And this is the kind of performance we were wanting to see here from the mid lane of SMG.
Yep, just getting work done for SMG, carrying them on his back, really. As you are getting a lot of damage output now from mid one, but for mid one to have reached that point, Moon made a lot of space. He's really opened up this game for the side of SMG. FNATIC, again, I don't think they're completely out yet. They've still got some item growth left on Raven. He's going for the AC. I think down the line, you'd really just want the Ags, maybe in the Ag Shard. Torrent Storm and Tidal Wave is going to help you pull heroes back, get some good punishment off when the BKBs fade, and give you some big AoE control as well. And right now, for FNATIC, it's the stall game. Armel, he does have the Timeless Relic on hand, because obviously that's the exact neutral you want to give to a Tinker, right? Debuff duration and spell damage. Of course, a Tinker finds that. So, more damage coming out here from Armel. Should make it a lot easier to burst some of the softer targets. but they're not looking to be too aggressive now. They know SMG can kind of just end this game down mid if they do take a bad fight on FNATIC's end, especially with that build-up on mid one. So caution is the name of the game for FNATIC, and they'll just take what they can get. They'll split push a bit. There are the Overlord creeps to kind of clear out the bot wave, so they can kind of keep control in SMG's favor a little bit better here without committing too much. But they still haven't found that opening up against FNATIC yet.
The Hawk Vision from Raging going to find absolutely everyone from FNATIC once again, but they aren't going to try and capitalize off it yet. Maybe a smoke to come from SMG as they are grouping around that mid lane. Roger does ping out the smoke. Arfu going to pop it for the team as top lane. Mid one already setting up here for Armel as the zip. Not going to ever fly out. They're trying to make their way into that triangle, and the scan is going to find out Raven. So the zip is there. Vortex is not out yet. Moon, he does find 3 targets, and now the Ravage. It connects on 4 heroes again. Roger just on target, on point. They've already taken down 3 heroes for FNATIC, so FNATIC is still going to try and fight. They'll get Roger down. Raven, though, is going to TP out with that BKB timing, and Armel now, he needs his own exit strategy. But what is it going to be? Well, it's just blinking out, John, because he's playing Tinker. So he's all right. Still SMG fighting 3 for 1, and there are no buybacks available for FNATIC.
Yeah, I think for FNATIC, the blessing here is that with Raven and Armel still alive, a high ground push is still very, very hard for SMG. They don't have Tide around, no Ravage as well if Roger was alive. So FNATIC can actually play here. They just need to really play it safe, but they can make this high ground push very difficult.
Moon, he's feeling very ballsy right now. Going in. Kingsfall is there. There's your Soulbind. That'll lock 2 of them down. Mel, what can you do to help out your carry? He's going to try and heft him up beside the Vice, and that'll be enough to force back SMG. They've got to try and focus down these objectives while they still can. And I know we keep bringing this up, but Armel, as time goes on, is getting scarier and scarier. But I wonder what kind of item he goes for as his next one. He's got to get rid of the Soul Ring sometime. He's queued up the Bloodstone, I believe.
Yeah, just straight into the Bloodstone, have that regen, have more HP, be harder to kill down, and sustain yourself a bit better in the middle of these fights. I mean, you saw that, right? Like, that's a 3-man wipe. They couldn't clear out the top tier 3. They couldn't make their way onto the racks just because, well, they're forced to deal with Raven, they're forced to deal with Armel, they can't find the kills. Like, Raven is really tanky with the AC up and running here, Mike, and he's going to have his own overwhelming blink down the line, likely to throw away the armlet now. And with everyone back up on FNATIC, they are going for a bit of a smoke. Roshan, 40 seconds away. If they win this fight, that could open up the possibility for FNATIC actually taking Roche.
Mid one, he's died quite a few times this game. He's inside. FNATIC looking for that jewel. They'll break the Lincolns, but they don't get the jewel off. So mid one, he'll turn right back around, trying to force this fight. Here comes Moon, another great Vortex. He's already got Januel, still Raven. Gonna turn back around now with the boat, keeping this fight going. But Arfu's there with the Soulbind, and now the double roars out. Raging Potato locking both of them down. Nothing to protect. Even the dive bomb to follow up as they've got jabs gone. Raven, only that BKB's keeping him alive right now. He'll keep trying to fight this one out with Raging Potato, but he can't handle the damage output. Not from mid one and Moon. He gets Arfu down to Moon. It's just a complete mess here as the Ravage comes out from Roger. And I believe he missed out on Armel. It won't matter too much though, John. It's a 4-for-1 trade here in the favor of SMG. Can they finally go high ground again?
And they're lined up for it, but there's a buyback on Raven, and we saw how long it took to kill him. Without the Ravage, without all the spells being available for mid one, he does have the refresh. It does complicate matters, and you can see SMG, they're playing it safe. They see Roshan, they'll take Roche number 4 now with everything on hand. A refresh, another Ag's blessing out. This is going to be big in allowing them to siege that high ground. And another life out for Moon. It's getting harder and harder now for FNATIC to hold. They are doing a good job of just staying in the game. Armel just doing tinker things. But it's only really him left to get this done. Aegis still on the deck. Does look like they're juggling items around, and mid one will take the Aegis this time around with the cheese being given to Moon. Armel got a bit cautious. They are still a bit far out from jumping him, and he has done a good job of shoving in these side lanes. So SMG is going to have to work on that first. FNATIC are fully respawned. They have a lot to deal with here, Mike. It's going to be tough.
Armel's been so annoying as Moon's going to try and find him and does
Oh
get
my
him.
God.
Scythe device is up, so they've got the Tinker finally locked down. And with the Vortex, he does not have that status resist going, so Armel, it will finally die. As Mid One does happily take the kill. Problem is, he does have buyback.
Yeah. Kind of curious. He didn't manage to pop his BKB there. I feel like if he did have that, he might have been able to at least get out or maybe force Aurora out from raging if he was close by. Still, big pick off for SMG. They just need to run down the lane, group up together, and look for that push. But FNATIC aren't going to make that easy, although Raven.
Yeah, Moon again setting up for his team, finds a great target in the form of Raven, and that's going to be another one for the CEO as he looks for more and he finds more. He's got DJ on that hoodwink. The scurry away only going to delay things as Moon picks up his 25th kill of the game, Jonathan. You love to see it. Just doing a fantastic job and really just carrying SMG right now.
It just feels like FNATIC doesn't have the best answer. Like, you mentioned it from the draft. They've got Bane, they've got LC, they've got Grip and Duel. But Moon's just been so disciplined to wait for the big spell to be popped first before coming back in. And then handling the storm is left to the Tinker. Narmel's done a fine job, but it's just not been enough. Like, he just doesn't have enough to work through that storm with the AoE Vortex. And he's got a lot of ways from Moon to just control everyone, which FNATIC severely lacks. So, gonna have to hold on. Buybacks out for that tier 4 defense here.
How do you hold back though? Look at this. Look at Mid One. Look at the damage output. They zip in. Moon's there with the Vortex now. They're trying to jewel him up and hold him down, but the damage is just way too high. Moon's going to walk out scot-free with the Aegis up. Or maybe not. He does die, but he can buy back as Mid One. Bouncer diving in. He's had enough of this game. He wants the GG call and he's going to get it. In fact, they want the Rampage. They are not going to be able to